Okay. So yeah, just like I said, so we talked a lot about music, and I was particularly interested because I see a lot of people with music, and from the group you might have seen a lot of like creative coding people. But to be honest, I don't see a lot of academics that go into music or other way around. So like
Mhm.
I want to know your opinion. Like, do you see similarities? Mm, not just on the level of the cool YouTube videos, like God bless you and whatnot.
Similarities how?
Like similarities
Oh,
in the sense
wait,
patterns that actually can be academically studied. Like, lots of questions like how this thing makes sense in a very objective way, maybe in music or video or whatever.
wait.
Do you see
Yeah,
patterns?
I think, I mean, basically, I'm like a nerd. So my whole worldview is through like a nerdy lens. And even at music, I look through like both a nerdy lens and some kind of intuition.
Hmm.
So yeah, like we're both into life coding, and it's cool how you can define kind of structure which you can listen to, and um, I see the mix. And if you talk about, say, Indian classical music, you can call it kind of academic as well. Like
Yeah.
there's a lot of maths, a lot of
Hmm.
flexing with like modular arithmetic. So
Hmm.
in Indian classical, in the end of a composition, when you play a tihai, when you repeat something three times and need the last stroke to be on the first beat of the time
Oh.
cycle, that's kind of
Oh shit! Yeah,
nerdy
yeah,
and
yeah. I just
mathsy.
remembered you played
Uh,
tabla, right? You like actually played tabla?
yeah, I've been
Yeah.
playing for 4 years.
Shit, that sounds so cool. And I just saw like a few days back your post on the group with the traffic simulations playing the tabla. I mean, to be honest, I've seen a lot of these mix of systems, but I didn't know that that would go so well. That part I didn't
Uh,
anticipate.
it actually it's like really based on how you tweak the simulation.
Hmm.
So uh, actually to get the real feel of traffic and these traffic waves, which like when traffic stops and then it slowly frees up,
Hmm.
you need more vehicles in the simulation. But then if all of them are sonified, then it becomes a little too noisy.
Okay.
So it's like there's a lot of creative choices there which can be made. I'm not sure that I made the best ones, but I quickly like came up with something. It just came up in a discussion in the hostel that okay, there was this tweet, so this idea by Nitin Gadkari of replacing
Hmm.
horns with Indian classical instruments, and someone tried to write it very simply using just random intervals. So
Hmm.
just trying to mimic horns with random intervals. But I'm like, no, we can go deeper. We can simulate an entire toy system with traffic and then try to sonify it.
Hmm. That does sound interesting. Because I mean, as much as I've studied about traffic, it's a lot of similar to Poisson distributions and their simulations. And it makes sense that it goes so well. I don't know if there might be similarity with Indian classical music in that kind of mathematical sense. But yeah.
No, I don't think there's similarities, but uh, like when someone's playing not according to like intuitively drifting with tempo, it's also cool. So this sounds something like
Oh.
that. Yeah.
Do you do that in tabla? Like, do you like perform like like in drums they have like set things that they do, right? I don't know the
Mhm.
saying, but do you drift? Like in guitar, I've seen a lot of people who just
So
drift and
in
do whatever.
in classical tabla, not really. Like
Okay.
there's accompaniment playing the lehera, the accompanying melody, and uh, it might drift a bit because it's played by a human.
Hmm.
So the like tabla, if it's a solo or accompaniment, and the other instrument, if it's a solo or accompaniment, they would drift and feedback and adjust to each other.
Okay.
but it's supposed to be kind of constant. So you're supposed to have a constant time cycle and then
Hmm.
like make a distinct jump to something faster. But uh, I actually, back in Moscow, where I was born and raised,
Hmm.
I'm involved with a group called Moscow Noise Manufactory. So it's a group of musicians of very different styles. Some are into like hard noise music, harsh noise, some more like ambient, a lot of drones. Some
Hmm.
would play instruments like drums or guitar. And they organize concerts of all different kinds.
Hmm.
And people from within this group break up into collaborations.
Okay.
So I've had the chance to like I initially started playing with these guys, and it was very noise drone focused, kind of hard to like play tabla the classical style to
Hmm.
show the things that you want to show your like mastery of the rhythm. It was more about processing the sound and creating a soundscape. So there, yeah, I would do just make some noises intuitively, not necessarily play
Hmm.
compositions.
Okay.
So yeah, generally it's not done in tabla, but I think it can sound cool sometimes. Yeah.
Hmm. That does make sense. I've felt the same way about jazz. Like because I don't know music theory. I don't play any instrument. So I never understand the, and that's why I feel that maybe I don't like much, but I still feel like the process is like so impromptu that I just love the concept that you're just making things on the
Uh,
fly and some everybody's collaborating with that.
Yeah, I like this feedback that happens. So
Hmm.
someone might start playing a little faster, everyone else gets the hint, uh, um, and it feels more alive in a way.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah,
so rather than having like a fixed time signature, if it
yeah.
like drifts a little, it just feels more alive is the best way I can
Yeah.
describe it.
I kind of think of this thing with like jazz and non-jazz as like they're two things of form and function. Okay, like math is a form and like physics or chemistry or whatever is the function. So I feel like jazz plays with the form itself, whereas all the other people play with the functions like music production and whatnot, other aspects of it, you know. But jazz plays with the form itself, and I love that.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot about the person playing, right?
Yeah.
So a lot of music genres, the it's hard to tell one performer from another when, say, you're playing an instrument.
Hmm.
But when things are not so set and structured,
Hmm.
a lot of your own personality is reflected in the music.
True, that does make sense. Because I feel like so I recently went to Bangalore and I saw my first ever, I guess, live coding kind of concert, and it was really absurd to be honest. But as things
Absurd
change,
how.
absurd in the sense that people were making very drastic changes. Like there was no flow, but the fact that there was no flow was the process itself. And like once it was not just about listening, it was like academically understanding what the person is trying to do. And once I got the hang of it, like person was like saying something and instantly translating it into like speech to text, and then again text to speech with other voices and stuff, and then making music so it took some time to understand what was happening. Like this, it takes some time to set him the piece as well, but once
Mhm.
it's
It's
like,
like a conceptual
yeah,
focus.
yeah, but once it's there, it was so mesmerizing. Yeah, it was absurd in that way that it took some time. It's hard to grasp.
So this was at the event in Bangalore. That was the Audio Developers Conference.
Yeah, not exactly, but we just had like a independent performance after that, and
Hmm.
everybody went to that. But yeah, that was also a fun time. I met a lot of fun people. I what I did was like I have a Nintendo Switch and I had the Joy Cons, and
Hmm.
I used it to make drums and used the this to make a piano kind of stuff. Although it was
So
very
what
jittery.
what were you modulating?
So I've made so everything I made from scratch. Like I made a drum machine through some Carplus strung synthesis, and I was trying to control the delay and all the stuff with some parameters, and then this controlled when it hit. And there was
Hmm.
a different mode where I just triggered a sample using this.
Was this running on the DS?
No, I was actually using Touch Designer to create all of this, and because I was also doing visuals simultaneously.
Hmm.
Yeah, so that was happening, and the other hand controlled a synth that was going on, and that had like a additive synth and a FM synth kind of mixture of all of that. And I
Hmm.
properly structured it to have certain notes, and you can vary the notes.
Hmm.
But still, that all of them were in scale. So even if you do vary, it sounded still cool. So I mixed these things up, and to be honest, the motion sensor was very jittery, and I myself did not know how to use the musical instrument that I created. I never thought about like playing the instrument. I always thought about just creating it. That is something that like struck me when I was actually trying to play it at the end. But yeah, I mean, there's only so much that you can do in 2 days, right?
Well, you can say that the jitteriness was a part of the performance because it's a kind of feature of the medium that you're
Hmm.
using. It's like an artifact of the medium. So
Yeah.
just like right now, people might fetishize the sound that comes from recorded tapes, the tape hiss.
Hmm.
That's an artifact of like that medium, which like actually is a limitation, but when viewed through like a nostalgic lens, tape hiss or tape saturation sounds warm. So some people want that.
Oh yeah,
So
you
this
said
is
it
like
right.
the
Like
ghost in
those
your
glitch
shelf,
effects and
ghost in
stuff.
your machine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like glitch effects were obviously considered like a bug, I would say, back then, but now people make glitch effects everywhere, and that's a feature. Yeah, that's true. I never really thought of it that way. Thanks. But yeah, that
No,
happens
no
sometimes.
worries. Like, uh, that's how you deal with things. Just try, look from a different perspective, say, okay, I mean, this is art, right? There's no right or wrong. Like, whatever happened, happened, and you can interpret it through that way. Or you can say that, oh, okay, this was wrong, and this is what was meant to be.
Hmm.
But it's like, no one except you really knows what was meant to happen.
That does make sense. Yeah. Yeah, maybe I'm just not used to like performing live. I feel that's one thing I'm still not. Like I can, like, if you give me enough time, I can do it, in my bedroom with my spare time. But doing it live, I've been trying. But yeah, it's
Mhm.
just a very different aspect of like a process that I haven't touched, I feel.
I've performed live visuals for around 3 years.
Oh, oh, I
And
didn't know you were a visual person. I thought we talked about VCV rack and stuff, but I didn't know you were
yeah, so initially I saw your name on the Hydra meetup list.
Oh yeah,
And
yeah.
like Hydra is my main medium in which I do
Oh yeah.
visuals.
I love Hydra actually.
So I discovered it around like 20, 2020
Yeah.
and started performing. Yeah, it's been almost 4 years now.
Dang.
So I got confidence with that quite quickly, but for sounds and for music, it took me a long time. And only like around last year, I got the confidence to actually start performing with that. I feel I feel it's much easier to make visuals than
Yeah.
sounds.
Like
And
nothing goes wrong with visuals, trust me.
yeah, and the like if you think of it as a market, the market is less saturated.
Oh yeah,
So
yeah.
there's so many people and bands that want to play concerts, and
Hmm,
everyone wants like cool visuals for them, but there's not that many people doing it. So just to get involved in some like creative communities or movements, I think it's easier to be like a visuals guy.
true, true. That's so true. And I think, I mean, there's not like you can obviously do very technical stuff, but with visuals, it's so mesmerizing. Even if you do the very simplest of patterns and repetitions, it's just it's just like enchanting, and you're just there staring at it. Sometimes you even forget the music, and it's just like a noise.
Yeah, but like I find it works best when they're modulated by the music somehow. So that's like really easy in Hydra, right?
Yeah,
I think that's Hydra's strongest feature.
yeah, that is. But have you tried Touch Designer?
I haven't tried Touch Designer. Okay, in some ways, I'm like a radical. So for example, I try to keep it open source.
Yeah.
And I'm not 100% true to that all the time. So recently I started using a digital audio workstation called Bitwig. It's
Okay.
not open source, but it was the best thing I saw that's like available on Linux. So I used it
Hmm.
instead of Ableton because they have native Linux support. But yeah, I'm like a diehard open source Linux fanboy, Microsoft hater.
Damn.
And uh, and yeah, so Touch Designer does seem cool, but it feels simpler for me to like think in terms of code rather than dragging
Oh, you can code
nodes.
there. You can code
You
there.
can code a lot. You can do like particle systems, right?
You
But
can do everything from scratch, to be honest, in Touch Designer. Like it's so
mhm.
flexible. You can just have
um,
one box and one code that does the thing that you want to do. That could be it. You could have the
mhm,
node-based thing like in Blender or whatever.
mhm.
That's this thing that I like about Touch Designer. It's kind of endless with
Yeah,
possibilities.
I'm like I've seen it used a lot. I've seen
but
amazing
but
things
but
done
still
with
I
it,
think
but
I'm getting very, because starting a new software that's like way different language altogether. Like Hydra has its own language, that is GLSL. It is a lot of friction.
and
I've experienced that.
And to be honest, I was never that motivated to be a visuals guy.
Hmm.
So I just discovered Hydra and I was fucking around with it. And since I know how to program anyway,
Hmm.
it came quite intuitively to me. And just with some time investment, I found myself getting quite comfortable to the level that, okay, I can do visuals live for a music performance. And then this thing happened that visuals are more in demand than music. So
Oh.
for the longest time, creatively, I saw myself more as a musician than a
Hmm.
visuals guy. I'm more inspired by sound than any sort of like visual art. Um, but it was my sort of beachhead into certain creative communities, and it gave me a lot of opportunities to perform in cool places. But it was never my like focus. It was just
Hmm.
something that came naturally, and I can do like to a good enough level that it's like actually a performance, but I was never like super inspired by it. Yeah.
Hmm. That does
Um,
sound good.
so there are some things that I want to um, take forward to do. I want to learn shaders, for example.
Oh yeah.
That's something I haven't touched. Uh, but yeah, like for now, visuals are on a backseat compared to sounds.
Oh. And also you mentioned something about performing. So have you performed in India yet?
I haven't properly performed. I've played for people in my hostel.
Oh,
And when I initially came to India, the idea was that, okay, I'll like come to India and I'll make a lot of connections and I'll perform all over the place.
yeah, that's
But
what I.
that didn't really happen.
So, I
Uh,
mean,
and
what's the market
I'm
like in India
I'm
compared
kind
to
of
like?
okay. So in Pune, as far as I can tell, there's not that much going on.
Hmm,
In Pune specifically. Moscow, where I was mostly based, it has a lot of events, a very rich underground scene.
hmm,
There'll be there's a lot of people interested in experimental music, and
hmm,
there's an audience for that as well. So people do come to the concerts, and people are like willing to pay money to listen to this wall of noise or drone.
hmm.
And I haven't really experienced that here, but maybe I'm in the wrong parts of India for that.
True, I was just gonna talk about that because I have a lot of friends from Bangalore, and every now and then I hear stories. I see stories on Instagram they've shared about some noise concert or some impromptu live coding stuff or something like that. Every now and then, Goa and Bangalore. Goa maybe more.
See, uh,
Yeah.
I'm planning to go to both of those places
Oh,
in the next 2 months. So I'll probably take your recommendations or
let me
ask
let
you
me
for people to hang with.
yeah, let me talk to you after we switch off. I'll tell you some names who you're gonna
Mhm.
meet, and I would tell you you'd love them. You'd really love their work
Okay.
and love them as a person as well. I've met some of them, and yeah, I mean, yeah, yeah, you're right. I mean, maybe it's not like, but I do hear like Pune has a lot of creative coders growing up because what happened is Zynga is there now, uh, if I'm not wrong, and Zynga is attracting a lot of creative coders, like tech and art kind of mixture. And I heard some people that Pune is also maybe not there now, but in future maybe, yeah, it's getting there.
Hmm. Yeah, hopefully. It takes a lot for a community to like actually become kind of self-sustaining to the point that people can find each other, people can like coagulate. So I guess
Hmm.
we're not at that critical mass here yet
True.
that like Bangalore has already reached.
Oh, also Jaipur. Jaipur is also good at that. Weirdly enough, even
Hmm.
Delhi is
I've
not that good with creative coding or whatever. But Jaipur, surprisingly, because I know few people that run some organizations, and they a lot they do good stuff with sound. They have workshops and stuff and other projects.
mhm. I should check that out as well because my mom is from there and part of my family lives
Oh,
there.
shit, they should definitely because that's a lovely place. Apart from that fact, it's really should definitely check that out. That they have some really good food there too.
Yeah, I do like Jaipur. So my parents are from Rajasthan, my mom,
Hmm.
and my dad's from Odisha. So that's
Oh,
where I would mostly spend my time in India when I would come, like when I was in school during winter holidays.
hmm. Oh. So wait, do you speak Hindi, by the way?
बोलता हूँ.
Oh.
Is
So
this an English language podcast or is it like switching back and
no,
forth?
I don't know. Like we talk. I think you might be more comfortable in English.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so I speak in Hindi only to my parents mostly, and
Hmm.
here it's fine. I can talk, but most freely I can express my thoughts in English. Yeah.
Oh yeah, mine is like the other way around. Like I've experienced this after moving to the States that I've expressed myself more freely in like Hindi because so like English is a very intellectual language. I feel like the words are precise and stuff, and it's good when you know what to express and how to express. You can express it much better. But when you're trying to figure out, trying to noodle around your way of what to express, how to, I don't feel English is maybe my best suit in that. That I feel is good with Hindi.
Well, if
Yeah.
we get to some complex ideas, feel free to switch around. So in Russia, I'm always switching between English and Russian, especially when I know that I'll be understood either way. And if someone's more comfortable in Russian, they'll like talk to me in one language, and I'll reply in the other, and
Oh, wait.
it's
How
fine. It
how
works well.
so I've like I guess heard it in like a stand-up comedy by Trevor Noah, and I myself like started noticing it. Russian feels like English spoken backwards. Do you also feel that way? Like if you
It feels
correct,
like what? Sorry, lost you for a sec.
yeah, it feels like English spoken backwards. Do you feel that
So
way?
like the placement of the vowels and
Yeah.
consonants, or
Hel- I think
Um,
I lost you.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's hard to relate because I like know it from childhood, so it's hard for me to look from like the side perspective. But
Okay.
you know, like there's these attempts people have of simulating the phonetics of a
Yeah, yeah,
language
exactly. I'm really
without
interested in
actually
that
making
too.
sense in any way.
Yeah. Yeah, like they
So
have these
probably I
people.
should like try to look for some Russian ones.
Yeah, like people like it's maybe slightly racist, but when people talk about Chinese language, they say some words, and to be honest, that does make sense to a person that doesn't know Chinese at all. Like when you talk about, I don't know, Spanish, you can say some random words and add ito or and stuff, and say it in a certain way, and it does sound Spanish. Like a person who
Yeah,
doesn't
just
know.
the like distribution of the
Yeah,
phonetics defines the language so much.
exactly. Yeah, I think your internet connection is not the best. Yeah.
Are we making it work though?
Yeah.
See, the only other option is if I sit outside and use mobile
No,
internet,
no, no, it's
but
okay.
then I'll
Just
get eaten alive by
no,
mosquitoes.
no, no. I think you're cool. It's just like once every like few minutes, it gets
Mhm.
weird, but no problem. But damn, it just feels so good to be able to relate to you about these. These are like very academically oriented things. I'm glad to be nerdy about these things, and I love languages in general, like any language. Yeah,
Languages are cool. Take a lot of investment though, like time
true.
investment.
Like,
So
hmm,
I'm not sure if I could ever learn one as an adult. I got three for free because I grew up in like a mixed language environment.
hmm.
Um, yeah, but the idea of like learning Russian from scratch or something, it scares me.
Yeah, me too. Like, I've been like hearing Spanish now since I'm in US, and I feel like that's kind of similar because the root is Latin, so it does
Mhm.
feel. But if there's a different language with a totally different root, like Russian, I probably wouldn't. Like Hindi and Tamil are from a different root. I don't think I can ever get there. But I can get to Punjabi
Mhm,
because
mhm,
it's similar, that kind of thing. So like where the roots are. But yeah,
mhm.
also like Russian specifically. Actually, I was in like a Russian optomechanics lab a few years back, and like everybody was Russian. My advisor and the other lab mates. Maybe me and one more guy was Indian. So I was talking about Russian handwriting. I Are you hearing me?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay. So I was talking to a person about Russian handwriting, and he showed me Russian cursive handwriting. And
Mhm.
damn, it just looks like this. Maybe some dots, some hashes, but it's just this all the
It's
ways. It fucked me up. It really did.
it's very flowy, yeah. Like I think my handwriting that incomprehensible, hopefully, like but yeah, it's like very flowy. And just imagine the prescriptions that Russian doctors give.
True.
Absolutely unreadable. Yeah,
I mean, I
I
can't
would
imagine
but
even normal people writing, let alone doctors. That kills.
But it's cool because it's like every single letter, it has this structure like of
Yeah,
waves.
exactly.
So it's like you're uh, writing one long wave.
Yeah, I love that. It's cool. But I don't know how they came up
So,
with it though.
so for example, in Hindi, when you're writing,
Hmm.
usually you have to lift the pen a lot
Yep, yep.
uh, for every letter, and then
Hmm.
to put the line on top. And Russian is the total opposite. Like it's just one flow, one quick flow,
Hmm.
and then later you can make some like embellishments or I don't know, like in English you dot the i's,
Yeah,
something like that. Yeah.
yeah. And one more thing, like I love this fact that there's like a whole continuous transition if you see geographically, like one language slowly morphing into, like if you start from like India, maybe Hindi, like and then go to Bhutan, and then maybe I don't know China and so on, you would see the similarities flowing in.
Like it's continuous. Yeah.
Yeah.
So before I knew anything about, say, machine learning or like embedding something in the lower dimensional space,
Hmm.
about 10 years ago or something, I saw this talk about like taking languages and embedding them in the lower dimensional space and
Hmm.
performing arithmetic, arithmetic in the sense of geographically going from like going smoothly from one point to another, and the language also morphing and
Oh
how it
shit.
matches almost completely, and it really blew my mind.
Fuck.
And
Okay then.
it's interesting to think like because you have this like language phonetic space, and
Hmm.
then you have um, geographic space, which is defined by its physical features. So
Hmm.
let's say mountains or rivers or seas, and then various like cultural features. So maybe there's like I don't know, a culture that's spreading, but in its way, city state that has like stayed independent for a long time and has like a really strong
Hmm.
entrenched culture, and how that would affect it.
Damn, it's so much at once, bro. Like, yeah, you could do a lot of stuff with just language and geographics. Like, you could study the whole flow of how cultures moved, spread out. Damn, this, oh, it's like a lot. This is good stuff. You took my idea and you escalated it a lot. I like that.
You can have three.
Sorry, I lost you again for a bit.
Yeah, I'm back.
Yeah, yeah, I'm saying, yeah, I would say, I'm saying that this so, like, you could study like anthropological structures of societies with just this and a little bit of machine learning. So fascinating.
In this is just a very vague idea, but I'm quite interested in how spread of culture can be modeled. Um, so, which is especially relevant in the information age
Hmm.
when connectivity is high, and
Hmm.
like some subcultures find this critical mass to stay alive. Some of them like come and
Hmm.
then have their uh, golden age and then die out quickly,
Hmm.
or even smaller cultural units. Let's even not talking about subcultures, but memes, for example.
Oh,
Uh,
I was studying like an academic article about memes, and they were like showing examples how memes are like a thing from like ancient history. Like they were showing ancient memes, like written on walls with like a chisel.
hieroglyphics.
Yeah, and like memes have been a part of our culture since so long, like these memes where people used to like just go on some random people's wall and chisel out pictures and write something like like some abusive word or some image of a cat. That it amazes me like comedy, and that too in a very abstract comedy, not like
So I
joke
think,
comedy. Yeah,
mhm.
so so ancient.
Like Richard Dawkins coined the term meme, right? And I
Hmm.
think its original thing was the smallest transmissible unit
Yeah,
of cultural information. So,
it fucks me up so much, man. Like just one picture, like with no context, it makes everybody like across like cultures, subcultures, different languages. It makes this. I don't think meme should work at all, but it does,
and
and I can't
across
explain.
like time scales. So you look at a
Yeah.
3,000-year-old, I don't know, like cat picture, and you can kind of relate to it. You get the same feel as looking
Yeah.
at cat pictures on the
Like
internet.
I've seen those Instagram videos where they just use cat videos to like bring out whole stories of like incidents. And I saw on YouTube like a while back, they made a whole movie with cat, where cat videos cut out and just some text written. Just like it's a masterpiece, bro.
Good stuff.
But yeah, I love. Also, I love the anthropology progression with respect to food, because what's been happening recently is that I'm from India. I've had food from all around the region, but when I moved to US and I had the in like Indo-American version of food. I mean, not just the chicken tikka masala and all the standard stuff, like the more delicate nuances. Like I've had Indo-Caribbean food that particularly has cuisine from the Bihar state, which I belong from, and I
Mhm.
didn't ever know about this. Like there is a very different country that has only this state's food habits and all that, and it's just like rediscovering my own cultures through other subcultures. It just fucked me up.
Yeah, that's cool. So, I had a friend in school who was from Mauritius,
Hmm.
and I was so surprised when I learned that his parents talk to each other in Bhojpuri.
Yeah.
And all I knew before was, okay, it's this country near a small island near Africa. And then it blew my mind that, okay, like Bhojpuri is actually a big language over there.
Yeah. That's amazing. Like in India, like it's not a very respected state for obvious reasons. But apart from that, people love the music, the food, the culture everywhere. It was very exciting to get to know about that.
Yeah, so, like it's a little sad that sometimes we have to go outside to really like appreciate it from another perspective and see what other people have made of it. Uh,
Yeah, I think of it like that way is that like when you're inside a community, you get divided, in sects because of obvious reasons, because of population and whatnot. But when you go out, you are not divided. Like everybody is Indian when you go out of India. Just
mhm.
like
They're
everybody
like
is
kind of
human
forced
if we
to
all went out of
coagulate.
Earth. Yeah.
Mhm.
So you need someone to go against to unite in your own community, I feel. It's sad, but it does work out some way, I guess.
Like an external factor that unifies
Yeah.
you,
Yeah, like
just like
aliens need to attack us to realize that we're all humans.
or like India became a thing only after British
Yeah,
colonialism.
exactly those kind of things. Man, so many facets. Recently, I've been like taking some anthropology courses in my college. I don't know how I came about this. I was actually reading art history and all of that, and I've also realized that art is all like there's so much anthropological context in like everything that we have around, right? And even small things like furniture and stuff have a lot of like pre pre-colonial or whatever like things in it, like the engravings we use and whatnot. And I felt like, yeah, this is another dimension that I never really I don't know, attended to before moving out of this place.
Yeah, I mean, like literally anything around you, you can uh, study and like look close enough and look through different lenses and uh, yeah, just be entertained for the rest of your life.
Yeah,
It's hard to pick what to really give your attention to.
yeah. I guess that's, I don't know, perk, bug, or a feature of doing a PhD. I feel if you might relate, because once you understand a structure of the problem, you're not interested in the problem itself, whether it's physics or maths or chemistry or some other anthropology. You're more interested in the process of getting and understanding the parameters, analyzing them. It again becomes like a conversation between the form and the function. And once you get to the
Like a search
form,
of the problem space,
sorry.
like a search of the problem space to like
Yeah,
map
yeah,
it.
exactly, exactly. Like whatever you might be, like a chemist or anthropological scientist or art history major or whatever, but like the core features of understanding a problem will still be the same. Maybe somebody would do it in math, somebody would do in chemical equations and whatnot. But the whole point of generalizing theories and understanding how things progressed, it's more or less the same. I guess.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like you kind of made me think of a book I was reading recently called Chaos by James Blake, if I'm pronouncing his name right. So it's a kind of pop sci history of chaos theory and
Hmm.
how like a lot of fundamental sciences had these problems that they thought of as intractable,
Hmm.
like, for example, turbulent flow in
Hmm.
physics, uh, or a lot of things in biology that that need that like it's really hard to break down only in the context of that field, and you need some inspiration from different fields to get a more whole picture of how this whole complex system works.
It's true. You're back.
I'm back.
Yeah. Sometimes you're just not moving, so I don't even realize.
Okay. I can
Problem.
like move so it can be an indicator of whether
No
I'm
problem.
here or not.
No problem, bro. Just kidding. But yeah, I feel like, yeah, you're right that you have to take inspirations. But also, I feel like maybe I don't know if it's about Indian education system or education system in general. But I've realized that when you're a kid, you're not introduced to the concept of randomness, to the concept that things can be indeterminable. Uh, and I didn't even know, like, when people say God played dice and they just like they take the statement to like a pedestal, and I'm saying that it's a very normal thing. Like there are things too that cannot be determined, or not because they can't be determined, because they change so much. That's why.
Mhm.
So I feel this was a very new concept doing a PhD. Like I'm doing my PhD now in nonlinear physics, which relates to
Mhm.
chaos theory and stuff. So it was a very new concept for me too. And I realized, like, in life too, apart from like the physics of it, whether we talk about music or visual arts or any other thing, people do not really talk about randomness because that's hard to explain. I
Yeah,
remember, yeah,
it's hard to reason about. It's
yeah,
hard to make like informed choices when a lot of the things that affect those choices are random. And actually, that's something I felt very strongly living in India for the last 2 months. I think India is a very high entropy country,
true, true. You're still living in a
where there's
metro place. You go to some of the,
Mhm,
like weird, like if you go to Banaras, you might have heard the
mhm.
name, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's where I did my undergrad from. Bro, that's so chaotic. So much. Like the first or maybe 2 years, it's like, what am I even doing here? But then when you get the like, there's a flow in the chaos itself. When you
Mhm.
learn to navigate that, you you try to utilize that flow, and I've kind of loved the Banaras for that, like, the balance between order and
It
chaos.
teaches you to be adaptable.
True.
This is something I very viscerally experienced. So I'm very big into cycling, and I'm like a
Oh.
radical cyclist. I try to use it as my main mode of transportation wherever it's feasible. And back home in Russia, okay, we have roads with lanes, and the
Hmm.
cars mostly follow the lanes, and things are quite predictable.
Hmm.
Coming here in India, especially the first couple of days, I
Hmm.
absolutely could not adapt uh, because I'm like used to playing by that set of rules, and here um, it's like yeah, the rules are different, and you think you're being maybe more like disciplined or polite by following the rules that you know from your ordered roads, but actually it's not like that. Uh, if you I don't know, like hesitate, or if you let people pass unexpectedly, or if you like leave a lot of space in front of you,
Hmm.
then it's just not going to work, and you have to really adapt. And it took me some time, but
Hmm.
once I like accepted and embraced the chaos, then I feel kind of pretty comfortable on these roads.
Yeah. You know, like, weirdly enough, my story is the reverse thing. So I've been like, cycling and riding bikes, maybe like from a really young age, and I've ridden bikes in like in UP, Bihar, and all those, where it's like so populated, so fucking crowded, you can barely manage. But that's where I lived, so it was not a big deal for me, and I can like very well get point A to point B very fast. Okay, not because I ride fast, but just because I can like do all of that and get there fast. And I'm so good at
Mhm.
that. But the reverse thing happened with me when I got to Bangalore. Like, Bangalore is the Mexico equivalent. Everybody does follow a lane. People don't fuck around. Okay. People, like, when they're in intersections, they properly like give an indicator and do this and all that. And I was not used to the order. I got caught by the police traffic police officer twice. And I was like,
Mhm.
this is chaos for me. This is chaos for me.
Predictability is chaos.
Yes. Yes.
Mhm.
And they were like, there's like different spaces, different dimensions. And for like in this space, this thing might be chaotic, but in this space, that might be chaotic. So what is chaos? Like, I don't even know. Like, studying more about chaos has confused me even more, to be honest.
Mhm. It's about fitting into the cultural context, right? So
Hmm.
traffic is all about uh, what other people think you're doing and what you think other people are doing. And
Hmm.
um, yeah, so it's these when you go against these expectations that things start to break down. So even if you have like, okay, lane discipline, it's important. If we were all lane disciplined, then this road would be a much safer, more pleasant thing to be on. But if you don't have that critical mass of
Hmm.
people, then you're just creating a nuisance essentially.
Hmm. It's so hard to like get the context in such a big picture. Damn. Bro, I'm really sorry to interrupt, but we might have to wrap up soon. But I would like to apologize
Mhm.
because I want to get like an intro thing for you in the beginning, but we got so carried away with the discussion. No regrets about that, bro.
Mhm.
That I never asked about how you got into music and all of that. So
Mhm.
yeah, weirdly enough, we'll do that at the end now. So yeah,
Sure.
how did you get into that, bro? Like, what's your
How did
journey
I
been?
get into music?
Yeah.
Uh, how PG rated is this podcast?
As much as you can be, as long as we're not cursing any politicians, I'm absolutely cool with it.
Yeah, okay, okay. Um, I don't know. All musicians would say that, oh, I've always been interested in music. Uh,
Hmm.
but yeah, I was mostly like just a listener of music till my teenage years, and I would like initially listen to just what kids and teens around me were listening
Hmm.
to, and then like I had a classic rock phase, and then I got into electronic music, and I had a
Hmm.
trance music phase, and then it was drum and bass, and then it was um, like trip hop.
Hmm.
Uh,
Oh shit, you're
so
into hip
I
hop?
did this genre hopping for a.
Are you into hip hop?
Well, I hip hop, not that much. I have my like favorite artists, but I don't actively explore it that much.
Okay,
I'm in trip hop, so if you know the label like Ninja Tune from the UK,
I've heard
uh,
of them, yes, but yeah, not like
artists
as a
like
fan. Yeah,
Eamon Tobin,
not that,
Bonobo.
but no, maybe
Uh,
I'll. But yeah, I guess I'll take a list from you sometime.
so yeah, so did this genre hopping
Hmm.
and also enjoyed playing the guitar. That's how I initially got into
Oh,
music.
okay, okay.
I was a self-taught guitarist and would just learn the songs that I like. Wasn't ever very serious about it.
Hmm.
Then I got deeper into like psychedelic rock, into metal, started listening to a lot of stoner metal, heavier metal genres. And then I felt some kind of inspiration like, okay, I'm kind of understanding this, and it's not that crazy to think of myself doing something like this. So I had a period where I really tried to grow as a guitarist.
Hmm.
I bought a lot of pedals
Oh.
and was like trying to do something, but not very structured or ordered about it,
Hmm.
and would get frustrated very easily.
Hmm.
Um, and yeah, like one of my cousins here in India got me into Indian classical music.
Okay.
I'd never like sat down and seriously listened to it before. So like I would hear something kind of with Indian instruments, let's say as background music at a
Hmm.
restaurant or something, and I thought that that's what Indian classical is about. But
Hmm.
when I saw a proper like solo performance with like a sarod and a tabla, then I was instantly hooked. And basically around 7 years ago,
Hmm.
I got really high under a bridge once while listening to tabla, and this was mixing with the sounds of the trains going on the bridge and
Oh.
the reverberations from the huge like structures of the bridge and
Hmm.
echoes. Yeah, and to me, then it was something kind of mind blowing and earth shattering that has stayed with me since. And around 2 years after that,
Hmm.
just when I finished my master's degree, I had a time of 2, 3 months before starting my PhD. And
Hmm.
I was like, okay, why not start playing the tabla? Like the best time to start something is now. And
Hmm.
I actually had a tabla at home for many years that was just kept in
Oh.
some corner that my dad bought many years ago and like forgot about. So I got it out. I tried to make some sounds, but and
Hmm.
learned from YouTube, but it wasn't very effective. And
Hmm.
then I thought, okay, let's try this properly. And I went to the Indian Cultural Center in Moscow,
Hmm.
and I had started tabla lessons,
Hmm.
and that's something that I've been doing for like 4.5 years now. Um, and uh, initially, it was just like an interesting instrument to me because I saw all this crazy shit that people were doing,
Hmm.
absolutely mind-blowing sounds, and I was like, yes, okay. I think if I could do even a fraction of that, that would be really satisfying. And as I got a bit deeper into it, it became more of an addiction and something that I need. So it actually really helps me structure my time.
Hmm.
Uh, because when you set this goal for yourself that, okay, no matter what, I need to sit down and play tabla for like 2 hours a day,
Hmm.
and that's non-negotiable, and everything else you have to somehow manage around that. It really helped me. So, for example, when I'm doing my PhD, uh, we didn't have a lot of coursework at all. Maybe like
Yeah.
10% of my PhD time was on coursework, and
Hmm.
the rest of it was okay, do your research as you see fit, as you like find a balance with your advisor. And my advisor was quite hands off, quite chill. That's one of the reasons why I chose him. But then also there's the problem of time management, which I was pretty shitty at. And like this need to play tabla gave some much needed structure
Hmm.
that like helped me a lot in my academics. And having this practice where it's kind of meditative and mindful.
Hmm.
You um, are, in a sense, when you're trying to play tabla fast, you're pushing your physical limits, but
Hmm.
also you're like playing and thinking about what you're playing, thinking about finger movements, thinking about how your body and how your muscles work, and like what's the most efficient way to play something.
Hmm.
You're always trying to find the way to do it with like using the least energy. Uh, so yeah, it just like sucked me in, uh, and I can't imagine life without it now. But at the same time, a lot of the music I listen to is very different from Indian classical. So I really like, let's say, black metal, or I like dub techno very much. I like atmospheric drum and bass. So these genres are quite different from each other, but they're all united by having atmosphere in the forefront. And
Hmm.
that's something I want to bring to my tabla performances,
Hmm.
creating this like larger than life soundscape, which could like take the listener to a completely different place, not to be just about being a maestro and playing fast and impressive, but
Hmm.
like really be immersive and like not only in terms of music, but
Hmm.
try to make it kind of dramatic and give the listener a feeling that, okay, there's this strange creature or alien that came from a different planet and is like sharing their sounds. That's what this atmospheric music inspiration is kind of like pushing me towards. So I would say I'm just at the start of my journey. My first like proper solo half an hour set that I played was just like 2, 3 months ago.
Hmm.
But yeah, I'm like feeling pretty good right now since I'm in India, putting a lot of time into getting better at this thing. And yeah, let's see what the future holds.
Damn, I'm so glad for you, man. So glad. Yeah. I
Thank
hope
you, thank you. Maybe you should pick up an instrument.
that's a long story. I actually did. So last year I picked up a synth, I bought it and I bought like a 1 year course. I did practice it for like 8 months or so, but like this January, things have been getting hectic with other work and other avenues of art. And also, I've gotten at a
Mhm.
stage where like I know the structure, and my hand also flows really well. But like I've reached a
Mhm.
point where I feel like I need a teacher. An app is not going to cut it out for me because there's so much happening with both the hands and whatnot. Like it's like
Mm-hmm,
for
mm-hmm.
before that, it was like just copying like a game. Like it tells you when to hit with what, and you just do it. After a point, it gets so hard that you need to understand patterns, and I felt like I need a teacher now. Like I've done the beginner, maybe a little bit more or whatever, but yeah, I'm at a stage where I need a teacher, and I've been thinking about it. But yeah, let's see,
I
let's see.
think
Yeah,
there will probably come a time in the near future when you're like, okay, I have a little bit of free time and like now's the time to go for it.
yeah, yeah. I'm planning, bro. I think yeah, I'm just doing a lot of stuff at once nowadays, and I've been like thinking a lot about it, and I've talked to people, and from what I've heard, like this is the stage where you do actually experiment a lot, and you don't have any repercussions because you're not like earning or something. So this is actual time to be just experimenting and not thinking about it. If like before this, I was like kind of skeptical. Like I would just learn a skill and then move on, learn another skill, move on. That was my game, and I was like worried if it would catch up. And people were like, "No, this is actually what happens with any art school. Like when people go to an art school, this is exactly what they do. Every course is a new skill and move on. They don't like extend their skill on and on. That's what happens after they graduate from the art school. So like, okay, if this is the way, then that's what I'm doing now. That's what this
Yeah,
podcasting is now.
uh, it's something that you're trying to commit to.
Yeah, not the podcast, but talking to people. Like podcast is not important. The audience is not important. Me talking to you, like if this
Mm-hmm.
was not being recorded, I still wouldn't have like cared at all. But the
Mm-hmm.
fact that it's just awkward to reach out to people, like, oh, I just want to have a conversation. But when I say, oh, I do a podcast, that's a much better starter. So that's what I do now.
It's okay. It's like an excuse
Exactly.
to, okay. I don't know. I don't think it's that awkward. Like, I saw that we have quite similar interests in many ways. So I
Yeah.
was quite curious to talk to you in general, and um, the fact that it happens in the context of a podcast is just something like side.
Yeah, that's just independent me. I mean, I barely get like 20, 30 views to be honest, but I don't care. It's just a part of being
No,
an
it's still
artist,
cool.
right?
Yeah, like doing things just for yourself, just because you think it's a cool thing to do.
Yeah.
Uh,
And also, like, I've made a lot of friends with this podcasting thing, to be honest. Like, before I started it, I didn't know anybody. But now I feel like I know people. Not like know people, like I've like had their experiences and they know my experiences, what I think like. And yeah, and I think that's what I like lacked, sorry, like a community thing. Like as a good artist, I feel like skill wise, but yeah, like in a bigger picture where I stand in an artist community, I never knew. I feel like
mhm,
I know I'm trying to discover my space, and this podcast has
mhm.
helped me navigate through it.
Help you define yourself by by like knowing more about the context of others.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, and I'm just like,
That's really cool. Sounds like a lot of personal growth through talking to people.
yeah. I haven't had a lot of time to reflect about it, to be honest. I don't even look at my own podcasts. But yeah, I think it might be subconsciously making things better. Let's see.
Um, Maybe you should, I don't know, like automatically transcribe them and then
Oh,
and then have it summarized by a language model or
damn,
something.
that's a good one. That
So I have a friend
okay.
with whom I talk not very often, like every couple of months, but we'll have an hours long conversation which will go on some crazy tangents and get very like
That's what I like,
conceptual and
bro.
philosophical and but it's like always a really fun thing to do, inspire some new ideas, but
Mm.
we always talk and then just lose it. So we decided that, okay, next time we're like recording this and then we'll like feed it as context to an LLM and then like ask it to develop those ideas further and like see if what comes out as interesting, or maybe it might be bullshit. Or maybe it might be bullshit, but we have the technology, so why not try?
That's a good idea, bro. I'm actually working on a text to speech model right now. But yeah, this that does sound like something that you can do. Yeah.
And then you could have, say, some model that is basically everyone that you've had on the podcast. So, kind of trying to have this
Yeah.
collective consciousness of people that you find interesting and invite as
Bro,
guests.
I'm thinking that you know what it would be cool. Like I've had a podcast with you. I've had a podcast with certain other people. How fun it would be to make a podcast like through this generative process with you and some other person that I had a podcast with. Like two
Hmm.
strangers that know nothing about anybody, not even the names,
Hmm.
and just they them conversing.
Hmm.
That sounds okay. That's something that I'm actually gonna look into. I don't know how far, but I feel like I'm gonna look into it at least.
Excited to see what happens. Keep me posted.
Yeah, sure, bro. Oh, I also I'm sorry. I might have to wrap up. Gotta
Hmm.
sleep soon.
Yeah,
Yeah,
sure. No, no worries.
but damn, it was fun talking to you. I have no regrets that this podcast didn't go as I planned. To be honest, like you went on a lot of tangents, but yeah, no regrets. No
Yeah,
regrets,
the
and I
old ADHD brain never rests.
damn, bro. It's so coincidental that you said it because I tell everybody that I might have ADHD. Yeah, shit. I guess I feel like in an artist there has to be some like not that kind of mental instability, but some sort of which
Difference
pushes
from the
you.
norm.
Yep. Just मतलब
Um,
हिंदी में बोलते थोड़ा चटका हुआ होना
huh. Yeah, I got it. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like that about uh, like my whole circle of close friends, basically, and like most people I find interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm very, I mean, not, saying anything bad about normal people, but yeah, I personally have more fun hanging out with weird people, to be honest. I've had enough of normal people.
Yeah, weirdos are cool. I love weirdos,
Same,
and it's
bro.
cool that we have the internet now so that weirdos can find each other. But that has like both positives, like us having a conversation, but also now people that believe the Earth is flat can find each other. So we have to deal with that.
Bro, do not get me started. There's a page that Earth is a donut. There's an,
Uh-huh.
this is not a joke. They actually believe that Earth is a torus. And
Hmm.
there's some other Facebook group that I saw that Earth is made of like three spatial dimensions pyramid of like sun is in the first one, the moon is on the second one, third is it's a like, flat Earth is just the beginning of craziness. I'm telling you, if you go into these theories, there's a okay. Let's wrap up. I think I'm gonna go on for an hour if I. But yeah,
Yeah,
man, it was.
conspiracy theories are cool until they stop being funny. Yeah.
Yeah, at some point they start I mean they stop being ironic and that's where I stop. Yeah, and yeah, bro, I mean let's hang out soon off camera obviously, and let's perform something together, I would love to see you on the VCV rack. I'm also trying to learn stuff.
Yeah, always down. Hope we can meet in person sometime soon too.
Yeah, I'm here now, so yeah, most probably. Yeah, I've got a pocket operator now. Do you know about the
Mm.
teenage engineering
Mhm,
pocket
mhm.
operator that I got now? So I'm that kind of a guy now.
Very convenient.
Yeah. Okay, bro. I guess I'll see you soon.
Cool. Thanks for having me on. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, no problem.
Uh,
Thanks for being the guest.
and yeah, talk to you soon, hopefully. Night.
Yeah. See you soon, bro. Good night.
Night.